Okay, we're going to go and install our front cover here. There's an O-ring that goes right here. The service manual shows it goes on the block, but this works too. That's an oil passage, so you got to make sure it's there, otherwise it'll leak oil. We're going to use my gasket eliminator, or gasket maker, whatever you want to call it, because I don't have a cover gasket for it. Oops. Another thing to note about these cats, they like to use dowels, and the dowels will get hung up in some of these aluminum housings. So just something to kind of remember that it's quite possibly does happen from time to time. Try not to get it in both holes here if I can help it. Seems to work better if you put it on the cover. If I put it on the block, I'm kind of guessing where it goes this way. I know this is the ceiling surface, so obviously I put a gasket on and that'd be a little easier. I would glue that on if it were me. See, I just used a little bit here, not a lot. That's all it takes to seal it. The cat stuff is blue, I believe. It's basically the same thing. It's an anaerobic sealant. What's cool about this is it doesn't dry until you take the air away from it. When doing a lot of these things that we're doing, you might sit for a couple hours before you actually put your parts together. So, okay, this engine already has some guide studs. This thing isn't very heavy. It's aluminum. So we're going to start in here. Make sure all the studs line up. Dowels and that type of thing. Kind of goober to get to go all the way, but then I want you to get everything just right. You didn't even have to force that one, so it's on there. Okay, the trunnion mount goes on first here. Oops. All right. Let's start down at the bottom because there's dowels down here. Those two. We torque to 90. Should have everything kind of seated and home. There's another 3/8 here, 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 and here. And I believe there's some on the back side. We'll see as we go. They like to hide bolts on this thing. The water pump goes here, but the bolts go through this way and hold the water pump on, so it doesn't actually clamp the cover down until you get that on. And this is like a rubber engine mount is what it is. This piece I'm bolting on right here. Front seal needs to go in yet. It's kind of a goofy thing the first time you see it. You go, how the heck does that thing work? But it's like I say, a rubber vibration dampener. Torque to 42. Okay. And then all this, there's covers that go here, but none of these bolts go through. There'll be a cover here for the timing advance for the fuel injection pump that we'll have to time. It's just a cover that goes up here, and then there's some bolts on the back side here. Okay, we're going to put our trunnion on. This thing's kind of heavy. It's almost impossible to pick up with a crane now. It's not a real good place to pick on it. There's 4 bolts that hold this on, and let's see, this is where your engine would mount in the frame. These torque to 190. It's 160 plus or minus 30. They're dry, so we'll go 190. Okay, there's a bunch more bolts back here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 bolts there. There's also this cover that goes on the front. I'm not going to put that on until I get the air compressor. But there's an O-ring in here to seal it. Basically, we'll need to get in there and check our backlash when I do put that on. There's 2 nuts that go on, so it's pretty straightforward.